Good afternoon, everyone. Golden Ticket to History, coming to you from Greenwood Cemetery in downtown Orlando, Florida. I've been to this cemetery a few times before for various different reasons, and I'm here again to visit some of the famous final resting places of some of the most prominent people in Central Florida history. If you drive up and down the roads of Orlando, you will see many names of some of the major thoroughways. These names are not there just by coincidence, but instead, these were lasting figures that assisted in the culmination, the creation of the City Beautiful. And they call Greenwood Cemetery home. Currently, there's around 31,000 interments here at Greenwood Cemetery. There was no major mausoleums for the most part. However, there was a few individual mausoleums, family plots, family crypts that some various different prominent figures have placed here. We are here today to visit a very unique final resting place with an even more unique story. This family crypt here, this mausoleum, this miniature mausoleum, is one of a very few mausoleums here at Greenwood. And this mausoleum has a very, very unique story behind it. Fred S. Weeks lies at rest in this mausoleum. And we're here today to talk about the unique story that led him to Greenwood. Fred S. Weeks was an Englishman who was lured to the Orlando area by a handful of individual investors telling him that the land was prosperous, it was beautiful. But soon he would find out after making the purchase that the land that he purchased was in fact nothing else but swampland. He reached out to the investors who conned him, to which they refused to give him back his money. So he began to slander them in the most unique way possible. In addition to the plot of land that he bought just outside of Greenwood Cemetery, he made an additional land purchase. This land purchase was for a few cemetery plots at the entrance of Greenwood Cemetery. And at these plots, he inscribed the name of the three individuals who conned him. To much dismay and rejection of the conmen, or the proposed accused conmen, they did not take too kindly to his antics. They threatened to sue him for defamation. Eventually, Fred S. Weeks retracted his final interments in protest. But in the end, he would have the last laugh. Here at this tomb, there is a quote inscribed at the front of the doors. This quote is a Bible verse that says, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves." This exact quote was also inscribed on the funeral markers that he placed at the front of the cemetery. When he passed away, the spot right here below the quote, he had an additional inscription placed there. This inscription had the three men's names upon it, to which he was met with again, backlash. He eventually took away the names, but the quote stands in remembrance of what happened. This is one of the very few mausoleums here in Greenwood Cemetery, and it's quite large. Typically you don't see too many people buying massive mausoleums, partly to do with the massive costs that's involved in their creation. A mausoleum this size could easily cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in present times. And this is a large space. Typically, mausoleums of this size would be housing entire families, where multiple members of one family would call this their final resting place. Unlike traditional mausoleums of this size, this crypt is the home to only one. Fred S. Weeks' wife passed away not long after Fred did. And when she passed away, she decided that she did not want to be buried in this crypt. She decided to be buried in Indiana. So this crypt lies with the final resting place of only Fred. There's a lot of speculation as to why that is. Was she not amused with his antics and decided to not go along with staying in the same final resting place? Or was there more to the story? Only history and time will tell. Someone wanted to come and pay my final respects to Fred S. Weeks. Most people would say it's not fair for a person to be given a faulty deal, and I would agree with those individuals. A person should know what they're getting when they're getting it. They shouldn't be surprised when they show up to the land that they purchased and realize the land is not as it seemed in the original sale. If you would like to visit this famous final resting place and to see the story yourself, if you look straight out that way, you can see the final resting place of another famous interment, and that of a gentleman by the name of Tinker, a very famous professional baseball player, to which up until recently there was a local baseball field named in his honor. Just to the left of that final resting place, if you're driving in, is the road, the entrance to the cemetery. You would come in, you would drive straight this way, and come right up and make a right at that intersection. And if you come through, you will see you can either drive up that way or drive up the way right behind me, and it is a massive final resting place right here. I also wanted to do a quick voiceover as well, just to provide a little bit more context to the story. Originally, I was planning on doing it here at location. However, I left some of the materials at home. So this is definitely a very beautiful final resting place. There's plenty of other final resting places as well. If you look just to the right, there's a placard placed by the city of Orlando. That placard states the final resting, the family plot of Francis Eapes, the grandson of Thomas Jefferson, our former president and founding father of the United States. So it's not far away. And all around this final resting place is many more prominent members of Orlando's history that helped make the city beautiful. The city beautiful. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said before, I was planning on taking and not having a lot of freedom and free time for the next month or so, but I had some a little bit of grace period. I decided that I needed to give myself some mental health period of time to get out and do what I love, which is seeking out the history of the world and looking for the golden ticket to history and look for the history in film. And I felt that I needed to take and bring you guys along with me so that you can pay your respects in the same way that I am. I always believe that, many of the YouTubers that I watch myself are individuals that are going places that I would dream of being able to go one day. So, and the mindset that I have for, watching their videos is the same mindset I have with going on with my videos and bringing you along with me and recording my adventures. Is the fact of the matter is not everyone would have the ability or the access to some of these locations, or they may have not even known about some of these stories. So being able to go out and to share these stories and to provide you with the opportunity to come along with me and experience these and pay your respects to these famous prominent members of American history, of pop culture history, of athletic history, or to just take and pay your respects to the locations where traumatic events occurred. Or maybe you've always wanted to go to some of these haunted locations where it's believed to be supernatural entities and activity at. So as always, I enjoy the opportunity of having you to come along with me. I'm thankful that you're willing to come along with me. As always, I'm open to comments. Please keep them as civil as possible. For the most part, I haven't really gotten too many terrible comments, not as if I'm asking for them. But for the most part, I haven't really got too many negative comments over the years. Most of the ones are things I can't control anyway. I can't control my voice. I can't control my looks. So, as always, continue to look for the history in film. I appreciate everything that you guys do by watching my videos. If you'd like to take it one step further and help to assist in the financial aspects, I do have a PayPal that you can contribute to if you'd like to. It's not necessary. Just taking and clicking on the videos when I upload them and watching them is definitely doing a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would. And until next time, I have a few more videos I'm going to do here. So yeah, it was always interesting. As a quick tidbit of that. I've been to the cemetery about 5 or 6 different times, and every time I'm coming here for something different, people say, why don't you just knock out everything at once? And I used to have the same mindset. I was just watching a video from one of my favorite YouTubers to watch, Scott on Tape, and he visited the final resting place of Aaliyah. And while there, he also paid his respects to Malcolm X. And some people would say that, why don't you just knock out that in-depth video while you're there? And I would have the same thought prior to doing these videos. But as you realize, even though you're at a location, sometimes you have so much going on, or you may be so pressed for time, that maybe you just don't have the time. Like, maybe you only have a month to get out to all the locations you're trying to go to. So what you're going to do is, you don't have time to spend 5 hours at a cemetery. However, in 6 months from now, you may have the opportunity to come back to that cemetery and knock out that video. The exact same things have happened with me here. I've been to the cemetery 5 different times. I've done multiple different videos here. I've done a filming location video out that way. There's actually a funeral service going on, so I'm trying to not interfere with that. But right over in that direction was where they filmed The Right Stuff, one of the scenes for the funerals. There was some other final locations I did. I did the Francis Eaps film. I did Joseph Tinker. I did the final resting places of the Pulse nightclub victims, which are on the, I believe, north side. I'm trying to figure out my bearings of where I'm at. The north side of the cemetery. So there's a lot here, and there's a lot to be covered. So it's always continue to look for the history in film, and I appreciate your continuing support. And even though I did not know Fred Weeks in life, I always like to pay my respects with a penny. So, pay my respects right here. Maybe it won't blow away. Maybe it won't blow away. So yes, Mr. Fred Weeks and his unique story. Every time I come here, I try to look at the front and try to see the locations of the tombstones that he placed and I haven't really seen them because they were removed. I think it was just I don't know if they were physically removed or just the faces were removed. If you know, put it down in the comments and let me know. But yeah, have a great one, everyone.